about you guys?
Hello, welcome to OffSite Dirt. Throughout the month, you'll see programs from our marketplace to high performance and all kinds of dirt. Today, we're joined with John from Låda Cube. My name is Wille, and I would like to introduce you to Audree Grubesic. How are you today, Audree?
I'm doing so well, and I'm very, very excited about this next conversation because this genius man that's with us, John Fay, who is an American business owner, architectural designer, and inventor, is bringing something to the marketplace, or has been bringing something to the marketplace that makes it really exciting for wall systems. So welcome, John. Thank you for being here.
Amen. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I really appreciate it.
John, since our first conversation, we've enjoyed endless dialogue. I love what you're doing. You have an incredible team. You were called to bring this to the marketplace. I'm going to start with a very simple question, but it's not simple. What is the future of the 2x4?
Yeah, so thank you for asking me. We believe, I feel like what we're creating is a new building technology platform. And so, we believe that within that platform, Låda Cube is going to be a key component of the future of how we build structure. So yeah, with that, I'll just say too, we're technically a building tech company, and we build a structural modular wall system. And the beauty in that is you can basically take pre-built panels, so you think of panelized construction, and essentially build structure with a minimal skill set and with ease. So we have internal cam locks that allow for speed to build, plug and play electrical, and a lot of other unique features.
Well, this really makes it exciting for offsite construction because, as we know, if you are not thinking about some kind of solution to help efficiencies, faster speed time, then in the next 10 years, you're really going to be behind the marketplace. So Låda Cube, what is it? How did you come up with this name? And I understand you're located in Grand Junction, Colorado.
Yep. Yeah, we're proud to be in Grand Junction, Colorado. So that's the western slope of Colorado, commonly referred to as. So the unique thing is I grew up on the western slope in Grand Junction. Ironically, my wife did too. And so we've been back and forth between California, but we eventually always make it back. So, but yeah, the whole premise behind Låda Cube and kind of the name, I'll go with the name first, is I've always been a big fan of Scandinavian modern architecture. It probably comes from my wife's side of the family, which you can see the Norwegian flag right here. So her family has Norwegian roots, and we eat lesva and all sorts of unique things at the holidays as a tradition. But yeah, so Lada is actually technically pronounced Lauda, but I don't expect anybody to pronounce it that way. But the unique thing in that, so Lada actually means box or barn in Swedish.
I was on mute. I get a lesson in Swedish here today, so I guess I would say you betcha. So coming up with this, there's really not barriers to entry that we commonly see, right? Because as you know, I grew up as a framer and a carpenter, and there's a unique skill set in that. But your deliverables allow first-timers almost to become trained experts on a short cycle. Can you dive into that?
Yeah, it's been really, that's been the whole premise of Låda Cube. I came from a background where I did not have the skill set that you have, Mark, and so it's unique that my thought process behind building a kind of a 2x4 of the future was really the thought process of how do we make this simple enough that you can take minimally to zero skilled labor and allow them to build structure. And I'm always really careful with that mix because I also feel like, we can't build a product either that really alienates an entire skilled trade set of workers and people. And so we have this unique platform, but we try to really create it in such a way that you can either use our technologies within that platform or you can actually bring in traditional tradespeople. And so we do offer plug and play electrical, but you can also have a traditional electrician essentially come in and, you know, add any electrical to the walls in traditional sense. So there are opportunities for finish work, but it also has the flexibility to actually kind of leave those out as well if the customer chooses to you know, build the structure with minimal labor.
So John, it's my understanding that you actually have your wall system and you can kind of diagram or show us in person how this all works.
Oh, this is a world first premiere. So I've never done this on
I love that.
podcast.
World first, yes.
So exclusive, right? And so basically what we do is we create 8 sizes of cassettes. And so we really optimize those sizes from both an efficiency standpoint of production, but also ease of use. And so the efficiency side of it is the one thing that's really unique about the efficiency side is we've really, by taking those 8 sizes, we can build virtually any floor plan. So we can take a PDF, you know, a hand drawing, you know, a DWG step file, and we can basically, what's called a phase 1 drawing, and we do a centerline drawing, and we can pull that content in and basically show the customer what it would look like to build out their floor plan using Låda Cube. And so those 8 sizes are the most common is the 48-inch width cassette. So it goes kind of 48, 36, 24, 12, and then there's a few other odd sizes. But this is an example of a 12-inch. We basically have a 1-foot width cassette. It comes in various heights. And the beauty in this is it has a lot of unique technology. So when you think of traditional cold rolled form steel studs, even stick built, you know, it requires some really significant skill sets to be able to build structure linearly and efficiently. Whereas with our system, it's basically almost like a Lego system, even in the production cycle. And so you have a lot of pre-fitting components that as they're built together, they basically bring everything into a true alignment. And so we're riveting these structures together. They come in with different mid-panel materials, and we have a lot of fun with that. But essentially what you're looking at is we have internal cam lock systems. So it allows you to basically take an opposing wall here. I'm going to be hidden here, but you basically lock the walls together. And then all you have to do is lock them with our cam lock here. So you take an Allen wrench and you're literally locking a wall together. That's 750 pounds of holding pressure. And so that's how easy it is to basically come in and build out structure quickly and efficiently. So yeah.
That's amazing. So do they come flat packed, or how does the deliverable come?
Yeah, so it comes flat packed. We call this a product. So we call it productization of construction. So you've probably heard that term before, but we really feel like we're kind of ahead of the curve. We've been doing this for probably about 12 years now. But we really see productization as being the future of construction, both in speed of deployment, ease of installation, and then reusability. So we have what are called the 3 R's on the system. So it's once a structure is built, you have reconfiguration to where you can take it within that space, you can unlock it, and you can build new structure. And then you have relocation, where you can take this asset, which typically is going to be a fixed asset with traditional construction, where that fixed asset is you have an initial investment, but you have no return value. And so with Låda Cube, you actually have that reconfiguration, then the relocation, where you can basically take the asset, you can move it to a new location, you can build new structure. And then the third one that we believe eventually will be a kind of a bigger market, like a third-party market, will be the resell, where you can basically take an inherent asset and you can actually resell it and make money off of it.
So John, our commercial spaces, you know, they often have, let's take an existing building, for example.
Yeah.
So they have the structure, they have the columns and the beams and the curtain walls. And inside of there, there's changes throughout times. There might be a design studio 1 week, an office building 4 years later. And when they come in, you have thousands of square feet that don't have the essential walls where they will be needed, that don't have a lighting hookup, a hookup for a work center. So you mentioned that integration of electricity is part of these cassettes, but also these large spaces sometimes are hard surfaced, right? So sound is an issue, and putting up partition walls that are insulated with mineral wool, like your product, that allows for a dynamic shift. So can you walk us through a made-up example or real-life example on how these cassettes are configured and how that electrical hookup and finish surface will be?
Yeah. So, perfect example is, as a company, we really have the contract for all Walmarts that need new vision centers or optometry offices. And so we go into those spaces, which are typically called tenant spaces. And those spaces, when you go into a store, you'll see a Build-A-Bear or a bank or a nail salon or a McDonald's. And so what's happening over time is some of those locations they had rules on the books, laws on the books where retail could not have vision or optometry. Some of those laws are coming off the books. So we're basically coming in as that happens, and then basically a general contractor will come in and clear out the space. So give us basically 3 blank walls. And we have some unique bracketry, kind of speaks to what you're saying, Mark, of being able to basically tie into existing stick-built walls within those structures. But we'll take a project that, normally is a 16 to 20 day construction cycle. And we literally do that project in 3 days. It's so incredibly fast, and the plug and play electrical is a big component of that. The walls do come with some other features. They come with, data lines as well, with pole strings. They come with internal blocking. So we have digital built blocking. And the unique thing within all of that is the walls are what we call it. They have reverse compatibility, meaning you can take a blank cassette, like I just showed you, and you can actually add what we call accessories or technology to the cassette. And then over time, you can actually repurpose those assets into different walls or add more accessories into a wall. So there's just this longevity cycle, the circular economy, the reuse of the product over time, where we really just see just a new frontier of this productization.
So it's not just walls, though. You're also set up for the doors to fall into these partitions, and you have different level of skins that you can put for the finished surface depending on the use, right?
Yeah. Yep. So a couple things. We can do traditional doors and windows. So we do that through putting furring strips into the cassettes, into the rails. They call side rails, and so any traditional contractor door installer can come in and put any type of door within our structure. But we're starting to transition to another option, which is really exciting, which is basically we're getting the door manufacturers to start putting our pins into the frames. And so as you saw how quick it was to lock those 2 walls together, now you're basically taking a door, bringing it into a digital footprint platform, and cam locking the door in with no shims, no leveling, no screws. It's pretty quick.
So not only are we taking a in-factory made solution and carrying it offsite and installing it in offsite, but you're also using technology in order to create this wall system and the programming. So with the technology, do you run this through like BIM and then work with architects and then able to show what the wall system is able to do? Like, can you take us a little bit through that process of how this works down with your company?
Yeah, Audree, great question. It's definitely like an area of our company that's ever evolving. So we're really heavy on the SolidWorks engineering side right now. But I do believe over time that that's going to basically shift more towards the Revit, Autodesk suite, other suites where we'll have plugins, and start getting into the generative design side of this. So not only do you have speed to build, but now you start getting that speed of design. And so we have some pieces of that built out, which we call kit of parts. And it's mostly with some of our big clients where they have a lot of highly repeatable applications, where we've been able to kit some of those repeats out, those repeated conditions. which has really been great because it's literally eliminated any errors on site. So we know when we're taking something and building it, it's the outlets are where they're supposed to be, the blocking, everything is exact. But really, you know, when a project comes in, I'll kind of tell you the process. We have what we call the 5 phases. And so phase 1 is where we can take, you know, any of those 3 formats I talked about, where it's a hand drawing, PDF, you know, an actual digital file. And we actually pull that information in and we pop it into what's called a centerline drawing. And the nice thing is that centerline drawing, literally within a couple hours or less, will give the customer a bill of materials and show them exactly what the cost would be for that structure. We're so exact in so many categories. It's really unique. So to the point where each of these products has an inherent value, and it doesn't change. So you can be fairly concise, up to, I would say, 100% on the cost side of knowing what your project's going to cost, and knowing that it's not, the cost won't change at all unless you do a change order. Which is kind of unheard of in construction. Just the level of transparency.
It's not kind of unheard of. It is unheard of. Yes.
Yeah. So,
love that we can frame the cost. That's like amazing. Great.
Yeah, and that's that whole new category, right? It's like, you know, you buy something, it has a set value, it's a product, it has a resale value, but it carries through the whole cycle. So yeah, it's kind of a, you know, you see a lot of benefits on that digital side, both in the build side, where you have this footprint that is so precise that when companies like we have Herman Miller come and install cabinets and other products into our walls, and I mean, it's so fun, the feedback, because they say, we've never put our product on a truer wall. Like they're like, we're shocked, you know? And so you see those benefits carry through, and they're going to get even more precise and, you know, exciting from the standpoint of, I think, the speed. You know, right now we have roughly a 2 to 4 week turnaround on a project, which is really fast. And the drawing side will even start to get even faster, where you can take the centerline drawing that we talked about, pull it into Revit, and basically use a Låda Cube plugin, pull out a line, and it'll auto-populate with the most efficient layout of the Låda Cube system.
Wow, that's highly technical. I love it. And I'm guessing that this is probably really great for data centers.
Well, I mean, we're learning. So we actually have a really, really great partner that we started working with about 3 months ago on data centers. We've been talking for about 2 years, but we're starting to see a ton of traction in data centers, both in, you know, speed to deployment, integration of you know, temperature and sound controlled rooms. Because as you can imagine, a lot of these cabinets have, you know, up to, you know, 60, 80 horsepower equivalent of, you know, data running. And if you can imagine the noise and the heat. And so there's a lot of really exciting models for recapturing a lot of that energy, you know, and figure out how to make more efficient data centers.
The fact that you also mentioned the Herman Miller, like we know that for furniture and furnishings, they brought style to the world of form and function. So the compliment that they gave the product, the company, and the team is quite amazing. I look at the simple aspect of whether we're talking about the incredible amount of existing building stock or a new shell being erected. The fact that these could be deployed and the cassettes could be installed on the ready, on the know, and later on, as you mentioned, reconfigured, or perhaps that marketplace changes and they want to hop from Houston to Georgia, from Georgia to Colorado, from you name it, Jersey to San Fran, right? That could be disconnected with such ease and then put back together is a remarkable innovation. And I think it's a wonderful transformation. John, you and your team, I tip my hat to you. Well done.
Well, thank you. We have an outstanding team. Like, I can't take all the credit, but like you said, I mean, they've taken it so much further than I could ever take it. And it's just been fun to see it continue to grow. But one thing you said too, Mark, is adaptive reuse. Adaptive reuse is really, I think, a huge model for the future of sustainability and really how we use structure. We have some really cool case studies of, a project that was a $260,000 project, and it was installed. I think that one installed in 4 days with a crew of 8. And 50% of that crew had never touched the product in their life, and we have them building within half an hour. And then that project was really unique because we actually had a $52,000 budget aligned with the customer for the installation. And we did it so fast, we thought it was going to take us a lot more than 4 days. We ended up giving that customer a $31,000 refund, and they had no idea how to process it internally. It went through like 5 departments. So you can kind of see that model, right? And how it's playing out in different categories. And then the beauty in that same project is it actually got reinstalled another about a year later at a different site. And based on the ownership of that product, 100% of those cassettes were reused, 75% of the skins, because you have a few custom skins when you're going against existing stick built. But the second time deployment of that same project went from $260K to a little over $45,000. Yeah.
Amazing. That right there tells so much about your focus, your innovation, reusability, and training to be able to get something installed that quickly and then save a client. You're like the dream of construction. John, we are truly blessed and grateful that you decided to come up with this genius idea and your team has explored it and expanded to where it is today. Is there anything that you'd like to tell us in closing?
I just would like to say, I followed Mark and Audree, you within the last probably couple months from afar. I really appreciate people like you who are going ahead of me and really promoting just the things that are happening, and then the innovative things that you guys are stepping into. It's just been such a blessing to get to know Mark, and I look forward to getting to know you better. But just to have people that believe in you is just, I can't even tell you, it's so life-giving. So thank you so much.
Wow, you're awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Mark, Wille. Thank you, John Fay. Here's to exploring and creating with an amazing wall system from Låda Cube. And make sure you check out his videos, go to his website. And if you have a project, maybe this is something that you'd like to consider in being able to not only build it, but reuse it, which is fantastic. We are so proud of you, John. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.